There's a kind of silence that only children of absence understand. You remember it, the sound of waiting. Waiting for footsteps in the hallway, for someone to open the door, for the warmth that never came. You learned to be quiet, not because you were shy, but because silence was safer than disappointment. You started reading the room like a scientist, studying the smallest shifts in tone, the tiniest flicker in someone's eyes, learning what it meant to anticipate pain before it arrived. You became your own comforter, your own parent, your own witness. That's what happens when love turns into a ghost. You start haunting yourself just to feel seen. The world applauded you for being strong, for not needing much, for handling things so well. But beneath that calm surface lived a trembling truth: no one ever taught you how to be loved without earning it. And now, as an adult, that old silence still follows you, like a shadow that never stops listening. You wonder, who would I have become if someone had just stayed? The orphan child is not always parentless. Sometimes, you had parents, but they were too broken, too distracted, or too afraid to truly see you. You felt their absence not in empty chairs, but in their eyes when they looked right through you. You tried to make sense of it. Maybe you told yourself you were too needy, too sensitive, too much. But you weren't too much, you were just too alone in a house full of noise. You learned to shrink, to disappear, to survive. You stopped crying because no one came. You stopped hoping because hope hurt too much. And little by little, your heart folded in on itself, storing away its ache in the corners of your mind. That's where the orphan wound begins, not in the loss of a parent, but in the loss of emotional safety. The invisible grief of growing up unseen is something you still carry, even when you pretend it's gone. To survive, you had to become something else. The world saw a bright, capable, independent child. What they didn't see was the small voice inside whispering, "Please, don't leave me." You became the caretaker, soothing everyone else's pain because you knew how it felt to be unsoothed. You became the achiever, chasing perfection because perfection meant maybe, finally, you'd be enough to keep someone close. Or maybe you became invisible, the quiet one in the corner who never asked for anything, believing that the less you needed, the safer you'd be. Every survival role was a brilliant adaptation, crafted by a child trying to control chaos. You learned to anticipate everyone's moods, to become an emotional thermostat in every room. You smiled when you wanted to scream. You helped when you were the one in need. You gave love as if it were oxygen, but you never dared to inhale it. People praised you for being strong, for having it together. They didn't see the price you paid for that strength, the exhaustion, the emptiness, the constant sense that you were living on a borrowed heartbeat. You mistook resilience for worth, independence for freedom. But you weren't free. You were still trapped inside the same invisible bargain: if I don't need anyone, maybe I won't be left again. The world rewarded your mask, and so you wore it longer. Until one day, it became your face. And then adulthood arrived, but the wound didn't vanish, it just changed its language. You find yourself in relationships where you give too much, or pull away too fast. You crave closeness but fear it like fire. You keep your guard up, always scanning for danger, reading texts 3 times to find the hidden rejection. You might find comfort in chaos because peace feels unfamiliar. You might excel at work but crumble in intimacy. You might help everyone else heal but never let anyone near your own fractures. You might even confuse exhaustion for purpose because you don't know how to rest in safety. You often feel like an actor on a stage, performing normal, while your nervous system whispers, "Be careful." You don't trust easily, not because you're bitter, but because trust was never safe. Your body still remembers the nights it waited for footsteps that never came. That memory lives in your muscles, your breath, your heartbeat. You may notice how your chest tightens when someone loves you too much, or how you laugh off compliments as if you don't deserve them. It's not self-sabotage, it's self-protection learned long ago. You became a master of self-denial, trading authenticity for approval, because deep down you still believe love is conditional. And yet, despite all this, there's a part of you that still aches quietly for what was missing. The part that still wants to be held, to be told it wasn't your fault. You see glimpses of that orphan child in moments you least expect, when you're praised and feel nothing, when you cry without knowing why, when someone offers care and you flinch. The truth is, that child never really disappeared. They just went underground, living in the quiet corners of your adulthood, waiting for safety that never arrived. You built an entire identity around not needing anyone, but beneath it all lies a deep, unspoken exhaustion. You've been surviving on hypervigilance, always alert, always scanning, as if the next abandonment might already be on its way. You mistake control for peace, productivity for worth, and independence for healing. But healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when you finally stop pretending you were never hurt. When you dare to face the truth that the strong, capable adult is just the orphan child in disguise, still longing for permission to rest. And maybe that's the quiet tragedy of it all, you became everything the world admired, but no one ever noticed how much it cost you. You were a child who taught yourself how to survive in a world that never came back for you. You learned to parent yourself before you even knew what childhood meant. And now, the adult you walks through life carrying two people, the one you had to become, and the one who never got to be. The orphan child story isn't just about abandonment, it's about adaptation. About how love, when scarce, turns a child into a strategist. About how safety becomes a performance. And about how, even now, part of you is still standing in that same quiet room, waiting for someone to notice you. But maybe, just maybe, the person you've been waiting for is the one who's been listening to this all along. You learned to survive, not to live. And because of that, you built a life that looks whole but feels hollow. You move through the world with a quiet ache you can't name, always doing, fixing, achieving, anything to avoid the silence that once swallowed you. You tell yourself you're fine, that others have it worse, that independence is your strength. But beneath that strength lies a desperate bargain: never need too much, never hope too hard, never trust too deeply. Because deep down, you still expect love to vanish. You still brace for the moment when someone sees the real you and decides to leave. So you keep your walls disguised as boundaries, your fear disguised as self-respect, your loneliness disguised as peace. But at night, when everything quiets, the old questions return. Why do I feel safest alone? Why do I crave connection but retreat from it? Why do I still feel like a child pretending to be an adult? The truth is simple, and it hurts: you built your whole identity on surviving a world that never stayed. And the cost of survival is that you never learned how to rest in love. Children don't choose survival out of courage, they choose it out of necessity. You did what all children do when the world around them became unsafe: you abandoned parts of yourself to stay connected. You learned that attachment mattered more than authenticity. If you had to smile through pain, you smiled. If you had to disappear to be tolerated, you vanished. Because a child will do anything to keep a sense of belonging, even if it means betraying their own soul. That's how the orphan wound deepens, not because of cruelty, but because love was inconsistent. Your body learned to adapt to absence as if it were normal. Every silence became a cue for self-erasure, every raised voice a signal to shrink. And even now, the adult you still moves by those same unconscious rules, mistaking self-abandonment for harmony. You keep replaying that old script: if I make everyone comfortable, maybe I'll finally be loved. But love built on fear isn't love, it's survival in disguise. You carry two truths inside you: the child who wanted to be held, and the adult who refuses to need anyone. They argue quietly in your chest. One begs for comfort, the other says, "Don't be weak." This is the internal war of the orphan child, the longing for connection fighting the terror of it. And the deeper truth is that no one is coming to rescue that child. Not because you are unworthy, but because healing has never been about being saved. It's about learning to return to yourself. You have to be the one who steps back into that old memory, looks at that small, lonely version of you, and says, "I see you now." It sounds simple, but it's sacred work, the act of reparenting. It means giving yourself the consistency, compassion, and protection you never had. It means realizing that safety isn't something you find in others first, it's something you rebuild inside your own nervous system. No one can fill the space of your lost childhood, but you can choose to stop living as if that loss defines you. When you finally stop waiting for rescue, you begin to feel something strange: power. For the first time, you realize that the story doesn't have to end where it began. The pain that shaped you no longer has to own you. Healing starts the moment you stop blaming yourself for needing love. It begins when you stop calling your sensitivity a weakness and start seeing it as the radar that once kept you alive. It begins when you look at your coping mechanisms, not with shame, but with gratitude. Because every one of them was an act of intelligence, of instinct, of survival. The orphan child inside you didn't fail, they adapted. But adaptation isn't living. To live, you must risk trust again. You must let people see you, even when it feels unbearable. You must allow softness to return, not as vulnerability to danger, but as an opening to life. Healing means turning toward the parts of you that once terrified you, your needs, your tears, your tenderness, and saying, "You're safe with me now." Shadow work is where this transformation deepens. It's where you meet the pieces you disowned, the anger, the sadness, the shame. It's the process of turning toward the shadows instead of running from them. You ask yourself questions that feel uncomfortable: what did I need that I never got? When did I first learn to hide who I was? What am I still punishing myself for? Each answer brings you closer to the truth: your pain was never proof of your weakness, it was proof of your love. You cared so deeply that you learned to protect yourself from ever feeling that hurt again. But now, the wall that once kept you safe also keeps you lonely. Healing doesn't mean tearing it down overnight. It means gently opening windows, one at a time, letting light touch what's been buried for too long. It's realizing that your inner child isn't a wound to fix but a voice to listen to. They don't need you to be perfect, they just need you to stay. Healing isn't a grand revelation. It's a series of quiet moments, choosing rest over rushing, honesty over performance, presence over perfection. You might cry for the first time without apologizing for it. You might say no without explaining. You might let someone love you without earning it. Each small act is rebellion against the old rules of survival. Each act says, "I'm no longer that child waiting for someone else to choose me. I choose me." You begin to notice that peace feels strange at first, almost wrong, because chaos was once home. But peace isn't absence, it's presence. It's the feeling of finally being safe inside your own skin. The orphan child within you begins to relax, little by little, as they realize someone has finally come back for them, and that someone is you. When you look back, you'll see that the story was never just about pain, it was about transformation. You were never meant to stay lost, you were meant to awaken. The orphan child taught you resilience, empathy, and the capacity to rebuild from nothing. But now, you're being called to something greater, to live not as the wounded child, but as the healed adult who remembers. The one who can hold their past without being trapped by it. You'll realize that you didn't lose everything, you gained the power to create the love that was once missing. You never had a childhood, but you still have a future. And it begins every time you choose to stop running from your own reflection. So, if these words found you, maybe it's because part of you is ready to stop surviving and start living. The orphan child in you is not your enemy, they're your beginning. Every tear you shed for them is a prayer for return. You can't rewrite your past, but you can reclaim your heart. And when you do, something beautiful happens: the silence that once felt unbearable becomes sacred. It's no longer the silence of abandonment, it's the quiet of peace. The same stillness where the child once waited becomes the space where you finally come home.